Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to discuss sensory overloads and what to do and what not to do. If you see a child having or an autistic child having a sensory overload, such as, and you can tell pretty easily by them having their fingers in their ears on both sides like this. They could be going ooh and making loud humming noises. Um, when you see that, 99.9% of the time, they have autism. So, what not to do is to go up to that parent and tell them how to raise your kid, or how to raise your kid, and what to do, and that you need to discipline your child and you need to put them or control them because you're in a public place. That is the last thing you want to do. Nothing will make an autistic parent more upset than um, than going up to them and trying to interject your advice into something that you have no idea what you are talking about. This has happened a few times to us. For example, in Target, this happened, I think it was about a year or two ago, a year and a half ago. So actually, I wasn't there. It was Carrie, my wife Carrie, and our nanny Kim, and they were there. And Kim had Braden in her cart, and Carrie had Emmy in her cart, and they were in two different lines. And in the line, in the line with Kim and Braden started having a little meltdown, putting his hands in his ears, standing up, making some noise. It wasn't too bad at all. I mean, they've been a lot worse. But he was having a little bit of meltdown, standing up in the cart, and Kim was telling Braden, come on, it's okay, bud, you just sit down. And he wasn't listening because he was having a meltdown. So this lady came up to Kim and told her that she needed to get out of line and control her kid, because that was unacceptable, according to her. And so Kim, rightfully so, blew up on the lady, telling her she doesn't know what she's talking about, that he clearly has autism. He's not having a tantrum, he's having a meltdown, a sensory overload. And so this lady got very embarrassed after that and left all her stuff in line and just walked out of Target. So that was one example. Another example was it was me, Carrie, Braden, and Emmy. We were flying to Nashville to visit my parents for Christmas. And while we were doing that, when we got on the plane and everyone finally got boarded, the flight attendants told us that we had to put the iPad away till we took off, which at the time I did not know that you can have your iPad on or phone as long as it's in airplane mode. It's been a while since we've flown, so I just thought that was the rule. So I had Braden. I took the iPad away from Braden, which was a big mistake. He instantly started melting down. Got out of his seatbelt, laid in the aisle of the floor on the plane, and proceeded to be dead weight and flail around in a tiny aisle on a plane, which was very difficult. And he's not a light kid, or he's not a small kid. He's a big solid kid. He's about 4'5" and 90 pounds. So it's hard to control him, especially on a tiny little plane. So I was trying to control him, and every time I look up, I see 100 people staring at me with the meanest expressions you can think of, muttering under their breath, like, "Oh my God, control your kid. You're a terrible parent." So on, and even the flight attendants, who were 2 feet from us, were horrible. They were just staring at us, telling us we need to get him into the seat because we need to leave. Otherwise, they're going to have to kick us off the plane. So that wasn't helpful. Instead of trying to actually help me lift him, they were just staring at us, telling us this, being very rude, and then at the same time mouthing mouthing insults back and forth to each other. Like, wow, I could see him saying like, wow, like, can you believe this? Terrible parent. All within 2 feet from me. Like, I can see them. I don't know why they couldn't see me looking at them, but besides the point, it was very rude, and it was a terrible experience, and made me never want to fly again, at least on that airline, because it was just such a terrible experience, and that was just before taking off. So then we had a 4-hour flight to Nashville, and once he melted down, he really didn't go back to normal until we landed. He didn't want to be sitting there for 4 hours. He wanted to keep getting up and running up and down the aisle, which I had to try to entertain him for 4 hours, and I was constantly out of my seat trying to keep him contained and happy. Yeah, it was just a terrible flight attendants, and everyone else on board that wasn't trying to help, except for giving awful expressions and muttering insults. Which gets to you, especially when your kid has autism. You're trying your best. You're trying everything you can to beat this thing, and to get him to have a quote unquote, or to have a typical life, not a normal life. That's another thing. If you hear, or if you are talking to an autistic parent or someone who has an autistic relative or child, say typical, not normal. Saying normal is actually offensive, because no one's normal, and no one's normal. Everyone's abnormal. Everyone has their abnormalities, and what is normal anymore. So if you say typical, that's a much better term to use instead of normal. And if you forget, it's not the end of the world if you forget. I hear it so often that I just let it go, but it does offend a lot of people as well, a lot of parents as well. But yeah, so those are just a couple examples and a couple scenarios of what not to do as a as a person watching an autistic child melt down. Now, one thing you can do, you can ask the person if they need help. If it looks like they're struggling, you want to go over and say, hey, can I help you? That's totally fine. But if you go over to the person and say, hey, this is how you should raise your kid, or this is how you should discipline him because he's freaking out, that's not something you do. And a good way to get yelled at. But yeah, so sorry, but I'm rambling a little bit. Just a topic that I'm very passionate about because it happens way too often, and it's just hard to go through public places and just see people staring at you with the nastiest stares you've ever seen, all for something that you can't control and Braden can't control. So on that note, I just want to tell everyone, hope everyone's having a great day. If you have any questions you'd like me to answer, you can comment down in the comment section down below. And also, if you would like to hear or be notified when I have more or new videos come out, if you hit the subscribe button right under the video, is a big red letter said subscribe, and hit the little notification bell next to that and hit all, then you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. And if you could hit the like button, that would help the channel out a lot. You got to start somewhere, and I think I have 1 subscriber right now. So obviously, the more subscribers I get, the more people, or more people I can help, and so on. So yeah, hope everyone's having a great day, and I will see you on the next video.